We never know where life will lead us or what may hinder us along the way. But while every day can feel like one big question mark, it doesn't have to. With the right insights, strategies, and solutions from Western and Southern Financial Group, together we can look ahead to leave the unknown behind.
Geoff Collins told me he and his wife do not cook. They eat out every meal a day. Uber Eats.
Holy shit.
And he said it with a straight face, and I was like stunned. It's on the interview at the back end of the podcast. And can you imagine eating out that many times? Because we got on the food conversation at Atlanta, because Georgia Tech is doing so much with, for the 404. We're in Atlanta. This is where you want to be, in addition to being obviously at Georgia Tech. And I was like, okay, talk to me about the food scene. And he's like, well, Uber Eats has a lot of recommendations. He's like, I eat there lunch and dinner every single day. How insane is that? I don't get how you continue to progress. That is absurd.
I cook every meal, virtually every. Like, I will Uber Eats. I can't tell you the last time Uber Eats anything, and I don't really go out to eat that much. So that's very foreign to me, because I think
that's foreign to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's wild. They're just flushing money down the drain.
Dude, he's sipping out of a Waffle House soda cup too. The guy was he's like, when you come out here, we're going to meet you at the Waffle House. And it's like, oh man, I freaking love it. He also was a big Skyline Chili guy. He talks about Skyline Chili. He's like, man, I miss it. And that was interesting.
Are there little Skyline Chili guys? I feel like if you're a Skyline Chili guy, you're probably
sure you're committed. You're pot committed for sure. But man, Uber Eats, Georgia Tech is fueling Uber Eats. Could be an official sponsor. Like, he was repping Uber Eats like he was paid to do so.
Uber Eats isn't even like the best DoorDash. I feel like it's the best.
Well, but Uber Eats has started to dip into exclusivity with restaurants. And I think they're trying out new things where, like, hey, on Uber Eats, you can only get, the only place you can get this restaurant is Uber Eats, which I think is a smart way for those chains to try and separate themselves. But let's not get into the business acumen of Uber Eats. Let's get into some bold prediction for 2021 defensive rookies. Mike, the offensive rookies one, I got a little hot and heated on the Trevor Lawrence versus Zach Wilson. Who has the better supporting cast? I tweeted it out. You were not happy about it. I was talking about it with our producer, Max, before we started recording. Would you rather have Corey Davis or Marvin Jones?
Corey Davis.
Okay. Would you rather have Denzel Mims or Marvin Jones?
Okay. Denzel Mims.
And would you rather have Elijah Moore or Laviska Shenault Jr.?
Now that one's tough. Probably Elijah Moore.
And this is the conversation. Like, you can say DJ Chark is better than all three of the Jets receivers. That's fine. Or all four if you include Jamison Crowder. And they have Keenan Cole. You can say that. But there's just no way you could say the receiving core as a whole, the Jets is not better than the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, is Tim Tebow entering the conversation? And some people are bringing up running backs. I don't care about running backs. I'm talking about who they're throwing the ball to consistently. And then you talk about the offensive line. I think the Jets are Morgan Moses away. Who is interested? Who's visited the Jets from being there? I think they're from having a better offensive line.
I do think Jags is going to be a better offensive line this year. I do.
Okay, Gotcha. Well, we'll see how it goes. Let's get into some bold predictions for the defensive rookies here. You start.
I was going to say, if you listen to the last podcast, you got a little preview.
Oh, that's right.
To begin with. This one, she comes no surprise. It is Andre Sisco, the third rounder, Jacksonville Jaguars, safety out of Syracuse, leads all rookies in interceptions.
Hell yeah.
Now, obviously, he's no shoo-in to start right out the gate as a third rounder. And having signed, Rashawn Jenkins this offseason, Jacksonville. He's obviously coming off an ACL. Mm-hmm. But this is who Sisco is. And, mind you, he's playing in a division with Carson Wentz. And if you also listen to last week's pod, Davis Mills within the first 6 weeks. So I do think that he will be picking off one of them at least once. And then you got three others to deal with. But leads all rookies in interceptions, at least four.
I like
That's
that.
where I'm going with that.
He's going to give up some big plays, though.
I mean, I'm not going to say he's not. I'm just saying he's going to lead all rookies in interceptions.
Andre Sisco's tape is absolutely absurd. I think going back and watching it, like there's so many times where you are stoked. You are stoked that Andre Sisco's on the football field. And there's other times like, man, I don't know about that decision. And I think a lot of the Syracuse secondary was like that. You saw a lot of up and down, a lot of roller coaster play from Andre Sisco. All right, I have here Patrick Surtain will finish as, and this is not all that bold, but I do think predicting cornerback grades is tough because they are so volatile. And looking at, J.C. Horn was the top corner off the board. There's other quarterbacks a lot of people like. Caleb Farley to Tennessee. I think Patrick Surtain will be the highest graded outside cornerback among rookies. I think he's going to be put in a very good position to succeed in that Denver defense, and I think he's not going to give up a ton of big plays. And when you look at rookie cornerbacks and their grades, it's heavily reflected, like PFF coverage grades. If you give up explosive plays, if you give up big plays, you're going to get torched in PFF's grading system. And I just don't see in that system him doing that. J.C. Horn, going to play a lot more press. You have to imagine in that Carolina defense, he's going to be put in a position where he is, as a rookie, could be grading lower than Patrick Surtain. So I do think Surtain is the highest graded outside cornerback among rookies.
I'm very curious. So I'm going to hit mine here also in a second. But I first want to say I'm very curious to see how this Broncos secondary shakes out, because they paid Ronald Darby $10 million a year. They paid Kyle Fuller, I believe, also $10 million a year. Those are outside cornerbacks. They have Bryce Callahan, who's obviously one of the better slot cornerbacks, more versatile cornerbacks in the NFL. Or 9.5 for Kyle Fuller. Do you think one of those guys who's making that amount of money, they're going to be happy just sitting on the bench for Patrick Surtain right out the gate?
That's tough.
Because it's like those guys,
they have an embarrassment of riches at corner.
When you're on Kyle Fuller on a 1-year deal, Darby on a 3-year deal, you're taking money from them right away if you don't start them. Like Kyle Fuller, if you don't start him on the outside after he just signed for this money, he's going to be pissed because he's not going to get another contract next year. So he's going to say, release me, trade me, whatever right now. So I'm not sure. They just have a bit of a log jam on their hands. Patrick Surtain, even if he is better, maybe looking better than those other two, he might be just the odd man out because you don't want to lose.
No, I don't think that's something I factored into this bold prediction. I kind of assumed he'd see the football field and he would start over those veterans. But when you do factor in the cap, the cap aspect of it and the veteran presence of it, I do think he definitely rotates in. Do you think he'll play him in the slot maybe and try and get him some experience there before anything?
Well, Callahan's your slot. Like Callahan's fantastic there. So I'm just curious. Yeah, I have no insight. I'm just saying I'm curious to see how it shakes out.
Maybe the Patrick Surtain pick was an investment in the future.
I mean, it is. That's you don't let that dictate who you're going to take if a guy's top on your board, for sure. But you just don't have to necessarily start a guy right away. You got 4 more years of Surtain after this year, so not a big deal there. My pick for highest graded rookie, outside rookie, and you know who I'm going here, Asante Samuel Jr., because...
Highest graded outside corner?
Yes.
He's going to play on the outside?
I mean, Chris Harris, nickel back there.
It's true.
He signed specifically with the Chargers because he didn't want to play, or not didn't want to play outside, but he wanted to be the slot when the slot was an option. And I think I said this on a previous podcast. Brent Staley, 3 DBs every single play for the most part. I think it was over 80% of their plays. Troy Hill was their nickelback last year for LA. Played damn near 1,000 snaps during the regular season. So he'll be playing Asante Samuel now, maybe in complete base defense. He comes off the field for Chris Harris and Michael Davis, but he'll be your starter at outside.
Man, I think Asante Samuel Jr. starting at outside cornerback as a rookie, that will be an interesting development. If he does grade well and he is the highest graded outside cornerback, that's going to be honestly really, really impressive. I don't know if he gets there, man. That's going to be tough. I think Brandon Staley, obviously in that defense, we've talked about so much about he's the steal and a perfect fit for that scheme. But playing on the outside right out of the gate in the NFL with his size, that's going to be a tall order, man. And if he does achieve that, it's going to speak volumes to who he is as a player. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to linebacker here. Jamin Davis. I'm not saying grade, but he leads all rookie linebackers. I'm going to say all rookies in tackles. I think he's going to lead all rookies in tackles. I think that's.
So you're saying he's going to be defensive rookie of the year?
So I'm going to say he's going to be defensive rookie of the year. I think when we had that, so we had the defensive rookie of the year podcast recently, and we didn't bring up Davis enough. I think because Davis is working behind arguably at least a top 3 defensive line in the NFL, at least maybe even number 2 behind Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh losing Bud Dupree, I don't know. There's conversation there. There's a conversation to Washington having the best defensive line in the NFL. I think playing behind Washington, that defensive line, he's going to have a lot of opportunity to tackle, and he's going to immediately see the field. That is a huge opportunity for him. I think if he does lead the league in tackles, I think he will be defensive rookie of the year. And while there's potential that Micah Parsons does it, I know Zaven Collins also picked in the first round for the Arizona Cardinals. Parsons is There are so many linebackers in Dallas. Mike McCarthy was on the Chris Collinsworth podcast and talked about, he said Keanu Neal was the best free agent will linebacker we saw. He's like, that's why we went and got him. And then they bring in Jabril Cox. Then they have Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, and Jalen Smith. They said, Mike McCarthy spoke to, we want to rotate bodies. So how many snaps is Parsons really even going to play? I don't know if Parsons is going to play near the amount of snaps that Jamin Davis does. Jamin Davis can be out there for 800,000 snaps next year.
Linebacker just does not seem like the position you want a rotation coming in there. It's you want a guy who's seen what their outside zone looks like so that he can know when they're running boot action off it and it's not real. Who's seen what the offense is doing. It's almost like a hitter in baseball getting to the third and fourth quarter, or excuse me, Jesus, I just mixed that one. Getting to the 7th, 8th, and 9th, getting third time through the rotation or third time through the batting order. Now he knows what this pitcher's got. That's what you want your linebacker. You don't want him coming in all of a sudden in the third quarter and being okay, what the hell is this? What does their run game look like? It's no, you want him to have seen that already. So I will believe that one when I see that they actually have a rotation at linebacker and not just a starting duo / trio that sticks. So
you're up.
I'm going to flip that. My linebacker pick. And another one, you're going to know it. If you guys follow the draft coverage, this is my guy. Nick Bolton is going to be the D Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
And he will lead rookies in tackles. I just think that he goes to a situation in Kansas City where they're begging for anyone at the linebacker position. They need help desperately. Now, their kind of MO has been a lot of dime and really only one backer on the field to try. And, Daniel Sorensen kind of plays that dime backer, comes in and drops out of the box a lot. But I do think Nick Bolton, with the way he sees the game, how intelligent he is, should hit the ground running. And yeah, he might not have the best, defensive line in front of him like Jamin might, but I think that Nick Bolton's far more NFL ready. So there's my pick.
I have a Nick Bolton bold prediction as well. And maybe it's not as bold as yours. But I do think Nick Bolton this year becomes the Kansas City Chiefs objectively clear-cut best linebacker. I think obviously they invested in Willie Gay. They've had, they've mulled around with other linebackers in the past. I do think that Nick Bolton immediately becomes oh wow, this is the Chiefs' best linebacker. And he is going to get the green dot. And he is going to be, leading that defense at the second level. And honestly, a lot of people talk about bringing in, I think for the Kansas City Chiefs draft strategy, I think a lot of it was bringing in players that could play right now and contribute right now. There's a lot of guys that are going to immediately come in, fill holes, and play right now, whether they have the higher ceilings or bigger projects or whatever. I think Nick Bolton will meet that bill. I do think that Nick Bolton comes in, like I said, clear-cut best linebacker in KC, though I am a big Willie Gay fan. I think there's an opportunity for them to play together. Nick Bolton putting him in a position to fly sideline to sideline while Bolton is just wearing the green dot and honestly, again, best
both
clear
got
cut.
speed. Bolton's no slouch in his own right in terms of pure athleticism or pure straight line speed. So,
okay,
all right,
not as good of an athlete as Willie Gay.
Yeah. I mean, no one is. Who are we talking about? It's
That's
Willie
true.
Gay.
Willie Gay's rare.
All right. My next one, I'm gonna stick. Got a few more cornerback ones here. Caleb Farley leads all rookie cornerbacks in pass breakups for the Tennessee tight ones.
Tight ones? You say Tennessee tight ones?
My bad. Say that too. Yes, I do think so. He's built to break up passes and 6'2", 207, long arms, 4.3 speed. Yeah, I get the back injury, but that's more of a long-term concern. That's more he might get hurt year 2 years. It's going to come up at some point, and that's why he fell. It's not a year 1 necessarily concern if that back is healed. 17 pass breakups in 2 seasons at Virginia Tech. And that's with him not really even getting challenged that much. That's on 104 targets in his career. And so if he gets challenged more down the football field, I think with his makeup speed, the way he covers ground, he will be a pass breakup. You can consistently rely on him breaking up a lot of passes in the NFL. And that's why he gets drafted. And that's why he wasn't on one corner until the back injuries popped up for PFF.
So you're saying he's going to lead all rookies in combined passes, defense, and interceptions?
Those pass breakups.
Just pass breakups? Okay. But you have Asante Samuel Jr. leading all interceptions. Oh, no, Andre Cisco.
Highest graded rookie, Asante Samuel Jr., Andre Cisco interceptions.
Gotcha. Very interesting. Awesome. Well, Before we jump forward here, I got a little message from our sponsors. In these uncertain times, life is full of questions. Like, when should I start thinking about life insurance? But however difficult these questions may be, Western Southern can help you answer them. Backed by over 130 years of experience, together, we can look ahead to leave the unknown behind. Western Southern Financial Group, life insurance, retirement, and investments. PFF has also partnered with Symbol. That's SIMBULL, the stock market for sports that allows you to trade sports teams like stocks and earn cash payouts when your teams win. Symbol has blended sports and the stock market to offer you the new way to invest and profit off your favorite teams. Use promo code PFF and deposit $10 at symbol.app/PFF to earn a free PFF annual subscription. That's promo code PFF with a $10 deposit at symbol.app/PFF to earn a free annual subscription. Next on my bold predictions.
Let's hear it.
Micah Parsons, though I did say won't play a ton of snaps, will still be PFF's highest graded rookie linebacker and will record at least 4 sacks. I think he's going to be used as a pass rusher a lot. I think they talked about that on the Chris Collinsworth podcast, and that's where he's going to be best utilized, man. He's going to be able to rush the passer right out of the gate. We talked about it in the pre-draft process that he might be the best pass rusher, in this draft class if he was a pure edge defender. But I do think they're going to use him on the line of scrimmage. They're going to blitz him. They're going to try and get him after the quarterback, and he's going to succeed. I think at least 4 sacks and highest graded rookie linebacker on roughly 300 to 400 snaps.
The only thing, Dan Quinn's MO was not blitz heavy. Never been, not his thing. We'll be curious to see if that changes, because personnel-wise, they should be blitzing. Yeah, you have the linebackers to do it in Dallas, but it's not what they did in Atlanta. So we'll see. I don't hate on that purely from a talent perspective. Obviously, Parsons is a dude. So my next one here, I had a bunch of cornerback ones. We'll stick at cornerback. This one's going to be my classic Packers pick. Shamar Jean-Charles, their 5th rounder, number 178 overall, plays more snaps than Eric Stokes in year 1.
Wow.
Their 1st round pick.
You just hate Eric Stokes.
Okay, no. I do not hate Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes is a solid player. He's a top 100 player on PFF's draft board. If you're top 100 player on PFF's draft board, I don't hate you.
You don't hate him, I guess.
But I just think the path to the field is kind of a logjam for Eric Stokes. And now that's not saying that, obviously, Kevin King, much maligned after the last time we saw him. But I do think him and Josh Jackson, at least Josh Jackson, that defense is a great fit for him. We've talked about that. I think the scheme changed. This is it for Josh Jackson. Year 4 has flashed at times, never been consistent enough to see the field. But both of those guys are outside cornerbacks. There's really Shannon Sullivan's your slot. You don't have a path to the field that's really blocking Shamar Jean-Charles as much as what it would be for Stokes. Like the Stokes, Jackson, King are not dropping down and playing the slot. None of those guys are. And you're obviously not going to move Jai Alexander. I would think you're not. You'd be crazy to, in my opinion, move Jai Alexander from the outside. So you just have a much quicker path to the field, in my opinion, for Shamar Jean-Charles than Eric Stokes at this point. Now, if Stokes is a dude from day one, obviously he starts, but that's why it's a bold fucking prediction.
We didn't talk about Jean-Charles a ton on the pre-draft podcast. Give us your scouting report on the App State kid.
I mean, so he played outside at App State, and he was tiny, though, like really undersized, but played physical for being undersized, a very easy transition, a very easy projection to play the slot. That's where he gets drafted to play. So
I do not have another cornerback. You spent a lot of time on the secondary here. I don't have another quarterback take. I do have a safety take later. But Jalen Phillips, Miami edge defender, former Miami edge defender, now currently playing for the Miami Dolphins, leads all rookies in sacks, pressures, and is the highest graded rookie edge defender in 2021. I thought about Kwity Paye. I really like the coverage on the back end in Miami. I think Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, Javon Holland, like they have a lot, and I love. Obviously,
maybe not Xavier Howard. We'll see. Holding out.
It's quote unquote a unique situation. I don't think it's a contract discussion. He just signed like a monster deal. I think it's could be something more personal. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I do not imagine the Xavier Howard quote unquote unique situation is going to be a problem. I think Xavier Howard's still there. And I obviously love what they're doing on the sidelines there. The coach, I'm blanking on his name. Can't believe I'm blanking. Brian Flores. Brian Flores. I think that defense is going to be really good. And Jalen Phillips is already their best defensive lineman, at least best edge defender. A lot of people like Christian Wilkins, but like, They did not have, Emmanuel Ogbah, Andrew Van Ginkel. Like, this was not a team that had star power.
Don't hate on Andrew Van Ginkel.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to hate on Andrew Van Ginkel. I do think that they don't have star power. Jalen Phillips is a star. Like, if he's healthy, plays a full 17 games, he's going to be, in my opinion, the highest graded rookie edge defender and lead in sacks and pressures. Like, I think that's how good he was. People talk about Jalen Phillips like he's this, and he is a project. Former 5-star, all this athleticism in the world, number 1 ranked recruit out of California. But he was also on true pass sets, like top 3 in pass rush win rate list last year. Like, he was winning consistently, had very, very good tape.
Yeah.
There are less concerns for me about his polish than there are his injury history. Like, his polish, can he get better? Absolutely. Like, he still can get more polish. But I do think that Jalen Phillips is ready to contribute right now if healthy. And he's healthy right now. So I like Jalen Phillips a ton. I think he's going to be ahead of Kwity Paye, ahead of Odafe Owe, these other guys, and actually be sacks, pressures, and highest graded among the edge.
See, I would not go that far in who I picked for my rookie sack leader. But I didn't say highest grade, whatever. I don't need to.
Don't say whatever like that. Don't you turn down my bold prediction like that.
You went for the full triumvirate. I'm just going rookie sack leader. It's going to be Azeez Ojulari.
Ooh.
Giants edge defender. I think he's in a very good, went to a perfect situation for him and how they scheme their defense. Obviously going to have a ton of opportunity. They lost Kyler Fackrell. He's just going to take over Kyler Fackrell's role, I would imagine. And with kind of the beef they have in the interior, he's going to be a weapon on stunts. A very Aldon Smith-esque sack. I don't want to say sack total, but like a situation where when you have those guys in the interior that can just hold those offensive linemen up for you, the Justin Smiths of the world, it makes your life a lot easier as an edge rusher. And I do think that that's kind of what we're going to see from Ojulari off the rip here. So Azeez Ojulari, your rookie sack leader, fell to where he did, obviously kind of like Phillips, where it wasn't, he's more talented than that. He just had the injury that caused him to fall into the mid-second.
Where would you rank this Giants secondary? Obviously, Adoree Jackson, James Bradbury on the outside. They have a combination of Darnay Holmes and Aaron Robinson to play the slot. Logan Ryan, Jabril Peppers at safety, along with Xavier McKinney and Julian Love. Like
top
depth,
5.
Like top 5?
Top 5. I mean, the hilarious thing is, Dave Gettleman, not an analytics believer, literally did what we said to do in the secondary, which is make your weakest link as strong as possible.
Yeah.
He's throwing the kitchen sink at that secondary.
Yeah, the Adoree Jackson pickup was awesome. And already having Darnay Holmes, I know it was just a 4th-round pick, but then to go get Aaron Robinson, another really good slot cornerback there in the 3rd.
You have a slot cornerback who's fine, and you draft another one. Like that, and with a somewhat valuable pick in the top of the 3rd. Like that's what we say to do. That's what kind of won the Bucks.
I'm kind of excited about this Giants defense. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Azeez Ojulari.
I picked them to win the division on draft night, didn't I?
Oh, wow.
I think I stand by that.
Hell yeah. All right. Bold prediction season. You love to see it. All right. Moving to Christian Barmore. I have him ranking inside the top 15 at his position among defensive tackles in total pressures. I think he comes in and ranks top 15 in total pressures.
Hey, now that's bold.
I like Barmore to come in hot. I think Barmore works with Belichick. The biggest concern with Barmore coming out of Alabama was not talent. It was playing up and down. There's times where he flashed and there's times where he's out of it. I think Belichick gets him flashing all day long. I think he starts really early in that defense and gets some significant reps, at least on passing downs, and cleans up, man. I think he cleans up. I think that secondary is another really good one in the NFL. When you're talking about guys getting pressures, guys getting sacks, you want to have hold up on the back end. You want that extra second to rush the passer, and I think Barmore gets it.
Yeah, they have a very jaggy interior.
Jaggy?
Jaggy. Just a guy. Lawrence Guy, Devon Gottschall, Henry Anderson. He's literally just a guy. Dietrich Wise, that was atrocious. I do think Barmore can get onto the field fairly easily. Now, rookie edge defender, though, top 15. That was 43 pressures to get to top 15 last year.
Among DTs?
Yeah, that was top 15. To be finished top 15 in defense tackle, you had to have 43 pressures.
That's a tall order.
Tall order.
I didn't realize DTs are racking up 40-plus pressures.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I do not. Derek Brown got to 34. So
I could see him beating out Derek Brown. I could see him getting 40-plus. I'm going to say 40-plus now. I should have looked at what top 15 took last year, but I think 40-plus. I'm going to say that. I'm going to pivot my bold prediction to 40-plus. I think he gets 40-plus. If he gets
41 and finishes 16th, you still get it.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. My next bold prediction, oh my God, my last two came in real tame. They're regrettable in retrospect, but I think there's Like if you
So my last two are kind of tame.
If you think about them, they're bold. I think Josh Kane, though, starts for the Chiefs. 4th round pick starting at defensive end, not often happening. I think it does. Josh Kane, though, starts for the Chiefs.
Over who?
Okay, so they don't. That's the thing. They don't have a lot there. They have Taco Charlton and Mike Dana in front of them. But
obviously opposite of Frank Clark.
Opposite of Frank Clark. He's not going to start with Frank Clark. But that's Josh Kendo's starter.
What's your opinion of that Chiefs defensive line? Frank Clark, Derek Nottie, Chris Jones, with a little Tershawn Wharton mixed in, Jerron Reed.
Good enough. I mean, Jones and himself.
Yeah, Jones by himself kind of elevates that one.
It's like they can stop the run at least.
They could stop the run at least, which is, I mean, how good is that? All right, let's, I got Trayvon Moehrig is the highest graded Raiders defender.
Oh. Okay.
And leader in combined pass breakups and INTs. I think Trayvon Moehrig comes in, is immediately the highest graded defender, and he leads, obviously, the team in PBUs and INTs. I do think that, it's not a tall order. It's not a tall order. There's not a lot of talent along that defense. But I do think
Cleveland.
I think Gus Bradley's going to put him in a position to succeed. And I think he's going to be in a really, really good spot, playing that deep safety role, letting Jonathan Abrams come up. And ideally, this defense ranks or performs a lot better. I think Mina Kimes said on Around the Horn that since 2018.
You watch Around the Horn still?
I know. I saw it on Twitter, I guess.
Okay.
Since 2018, the Raiders defense ranks like 32nd in every defensive metric that it matters. And a lot of that was with Paul Guenther, who is no longer there. I think bringing in Gus Bradley, I don't even think the talent level for the Raiders defense has improved all that much. You're going to get some development from Cleveland Ferrell again, Max Crosby, Trayvon Mullen, Damon Arnett, Jonathan Abrams. Like, there's a lot of young players on this defense that you ideally see develop. Mm-hmm. But then you also add in, Trayvon Moehrig, and I do think that Moehrig, he's immediately their highest grade player. And he's, I'm interested to see how good this Raiders defense is, because if it does take a significant step forward and Derek Carr continues to be that like marginally top 8 quarterback, that top 8 to top 12 quarterback, they'll exceed expectations.
It's a little side note. I think I watched maybe the first 100 or so Around the Horns. Like, I remember when they used to, no, like when Around the Horn debuted, back in early 2000s, I want to say. I would come home from school every day and watch it.
Wow.
It was that PTI. I would watch every single one. I remember they would count like how many wins they had at that point, because it was also early on, and I like knew how many wins they all had. I was kind of a weird kid.
That's a little interesting.
All right, my last one here, final one, number 8. Again, maybe not the strongest of takes.
My last one's kind of rough too.
The defensive line here, and this is kind of a strong take. So I think Cam Sample plays more snaps than Joseph Asai for the Bengals. Had to go a hometown one. So Cam Sample drafted a round later, the Tulane edge defender, drafted in the 4th, Asai in the 3rd. I think Sample plays more snaps. I think he closely replicates what Sam Hubbard brings to the table from a skill set perspective. We can go outside, inside, how he wins. I just think Asai is going to be, if he does see the field at all, is going to be a pure third down guy from the rim.
What's your expectations if he does see more snaps for Sample?
Sample? I think he's going to be solid. This is not a qualifying.
Bold prediction.
Get that on a that he outplays a guy who was at same position drafted round earlier than him.
Yeah, and he's solid.
I love it. Yeah.
All right, my last one. Aleem McNeil, new Detroit Lions defensive tackle, also former NC State phenom, ranks top 5 among nose tackles in pass rush win rate. So from a nose tackle alignment, head up or shade down the center, I think he's going to have a top 5 pass rush win rate in the NFL. Why do I bring that up? Derek Brown last year ranked 2nd among all nose tackles with at least 100 reps from the nose. He's going to get more than 100 reps from the nose, I think. And I think he matches, if not exceeds, where Derek Brown was last year.
He's going to beat out John Pinacini.
John Pinacini has been beat out for a while.
Okay.
They've been beating out Pinacini for too long, in my opinion.
You have, not me. I do think, though, Aleem built to win, built to walk back some centers. Now, let's think of the centers, though, in the North. You got, in Green Bay, Josh Myers, going to be a rookie. That's always nice. Garrett Bradbury.
We've seen him get walked back.
Yeah. And then Cody Whitehair with the Bears.
It's good. It'll be a
probably
test.
Doesn't be much
It'll be a
Whitehair,
test.
but I do think you got 2 other ones there that are ripe for your pass.
All he needs is the snaps. And I think if you're playing Pinacini on early downs and then playing Lee McNeil on passing downs, I think you're going to see some success, especially from that nose alignment. Go back and watch Lee McNeil pass rush from the nose. The dude was a savant. Like, it was incredible. Again, I still think, because he was recruited by all the Blue Bloods.
Savant, a strong word.
Okay. I apologize. Can I take it back?
Yeah.
He was good. Solid. Solid's one word you like, so I could say that.
Solid guy.
I mean, he was recruited by all the Blue Bloods. I've said this 1,000 times, but still, like, he plays for Alabama.
Difficult to handle on the nose.
I agree. 100%. Yeah. I think he goes to Alabama. I don't think he falls as far as he did. Like, I think he has a lot more hype playing at NC State. Obviously, he hasn't played the position all that long either. He played linebacker, running back in high school.
Just a bad
dude.
Aesthetic.
Is he? Man, it's unfortunate. We haven't had a ton of conversation about the rules change for the numbers on this podcast, and that was our last bold prediction. We're going to get to the interview with Geoff Collins here, the Uber Eats savant. Can I say savant?
Now you can, yeah.
We haven't had a lot of conversation about the numbers change. I think they should have made it across the board. Why did they even make any limiting factors for defensive linemen and stuff? I wanted to see Lee McNeil in the 29. I don't like just so for college. Forgive my ignorance. Are you allowed to wear any number in college? Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You just can't have two numbers on the field at the same time.
That should be the same rule in the NFL.
Yeah.
Even though Tom Brady on his IG, that when it first came out, was like just so upset that, you're never going to be able to identify the mic. I don't understand this. I don't understand that.
I remember I still cracks me up when Devin Gardner was wearing 97 for like 2 years, and he was just trash, or 98, excuse me. He was just trash with it. That always cracked me up.
Was like Goodson, the BJ Goodson, that linebacker playing like 98 for a while, that linebacker for the Giants?
Oh, he still does, 97
okay.
or something.
97.
I mean, that was always a fair linebacker number, but Devin Gardner was quarterback wearing 98. It looked hilarious. It's like Mac Jones wearing 50 in practice.
Well, he always does that. Bill Belichick always wears 50 for the rookies.
I know, it's funny though.
I have high expectations for Cam this upcoming season too. I know it's not bold prediction season, but I saw a quote from an OTA saying he's a lot better. I'm in. I'm all in.
Cam?
What's been your favorite?
Did you see the video?
Can we talk about this? Can we talk about the last thing before we get to the Geoff Collins interview? What's been your favorite, not OTA overreaction, or give me a couple of your favorite OTA quotes, OTA reports?
Oh, no. My favorite was the video of 4 throws of Cam Newton and Mac Jones. It just shows Cam Newton missing 2, Mac Jones hitting 2. When it's like, it's 4 throws.
Yeah, that was tough. I don't know who tweeted that out, but that was brutal. Like, putting that like, next to each other is just not okay.
Yeah, it's like you could have cherry picked the 2 misses. It's really
Those
not
were
indicative.
ugly misses from Cam.
I mean, they were. I'm not going to try to eschew him of any blame in those throws, but it's just you can chop up, a 2-hour practice, and if you show the lowlights of someone, they look like shit.
Yeah.
So,
what about the Tua talking about little 5 picks and a hurricane?
Yeah, it's then they failed to mention, or not failed to mention. They mentioned later. It's like who's the backup for them? The Jacoby Brissett.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jacoby Brissett also threw 3. It's like, oh, okay. So there's just no way anyone could pass, and that's weather. So okay.
I don't know how does OTA coverage get better? Because I don't think it's good enough right now. I don't think we're doing a good enough job.
What do you mean? I
NFL.
love it. I love the fact that it's just you get this tiny little snippet, and everyone has to react as if it's.
I think they should stream OTAs
a sample
live.
Size of a full season.
Stream OTAs live.
That's. I mean, like obviously that would be sick. Sure, like have everyone be on NFL Network. Okay,
exactly.
Cool.
OTAs live.
That'd be fun, but it's the NFL's. I'll not say never do that. They might end up doing. I do think they're moving more towards transparency with the more that these clips of stuff on social, whatever, go viral, and the more like coaching and those sort of points are all out there. I do think that's kind of going to be the end game. Is that the more access?
I mean, every press conference is streamed live.
Yeah.
Every press conference is streamed live from their team Twitter accounts. Like, I think you could get to a point where some of the practices, like, let's start with streaming some of the practices live and see what the audience is for those and that type of stuff. I think that could be it. And it doesn't even have to be all parts of the OTAs. Like, it could be a certain part of your OTAs that you're willing to stream live, because you don't obviously want to, unveil the secrets and let Bill Belichick get the cams in. He
already does. Let's be honest.
The cams are in. The cams are in. All right, enough chit chat here. You're done. You're off the team. We're going to the interview with Georgia Tech head coach, Uber Eats supporter, Waffle House supporter, Geoff Collins. Now joining the 2-for-1 Drafts podcast is Georgia Tech head coach Geoff Collins. Geoff, great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
I really appreciate it, man. And where I'd really like to start is take it back a little bit. I know you're from Georgia area. I think you graduated from Rockdale County High School there in Conyers, Georgia. How close is that to Atlanta? Because I know you have a lot. You are a big fan of Atlanta right now, that city there where Georgia Tech plays. How close is that to Atlanta in that stadium?
So I was born the Cab Memorial Hospital, which is 8 miles east from here.
My goodness.
Grew up on Columbia Drive, which is in Decatur. And then I went to high school out in Conyers. From my grandmother's house out in Conyers to my office right now is about 25 minutes.
That's absolutely incredible. And you were a GA at Georgia Tech kind of earlier in your coaching career, and then obviously worked your way up to FIU, Mississippi State, Florida, Temple, and then now at Georgia Tech, and played linebacker at Western Carolina, a very deep playing and coaching background. Where I'd like to start, honestly, is some of the coaches that you've coached for in the past. Dan Mullen at Mississippi State, and then Jim McElwain at Florida. What were some of the impacts, or the bigger impact, that those two coaches specifically had on you, and what were some of the takeaways, whether that's philosophical or even schematic takeaways that you had from working under Mullen and McElwain?
One of the biggest pieces is my college career coaching started with George O'Leary here at Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I was a graduate assistant for him, old school guy, tough, disciplined, attention to detail, all of those things. I was born and raised in his system, was here for 3 years with him, coached again for him at UCF. Then I was with Nick Saban at the University of Alabama his first year, laid the ground floor for all of the success that he's had, and was blessed to learn a ton from him. And then you talked about the Dan Mullen piece. So I was with him for 4 years at Mississippi State, and his lineage comes from Urban Meyer. So a lot of the philosophies and the way the program's run are directly from Coach Meyer. So I've been blessed to be in a family tree of Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, George O'Leary, and was a blessing to be brought up that way. But the biggest piece was working for Jim McElwain at the University of Florida, back-to-back top 5 defenses, back-to-back SEC East champs, played in the SEC championship game. But my biggest takeaway those 2 years with Coach Mack was to be yourself. I've got great lineage. I've been mentored by some of the best in the game. Some of the best systems that are in the game are part of who I am and my DNA. But Mac taught me to be myself, make sure whatever philosophies you've learned, they come through your personality, your belief system, and who you truly are, or else you'll come across to recruits and players as disingenuous or fake. And when that happens, you've lost them. And so I was blessed to be around him, and then going to be the head coach at Temple for 2 years, and then now going on to the third year here in my hometown of Atlanta.
You've also coached a ton of absurd talent. Keanu Neal there at Florida, Vernon Hargraves. I remember Fletcher Cox there at Mississippi State. And something that I find fantastic about what you're doing at Georgia Tech, obviously been there since 2019, is the culture. You said something in a recent interview, built on effort and competitions. And we carry ourselves with relentless positive energy. And I've done a handful of head coach interviews in the college level over the past few weeks, and something that's consistent with coaches like yourself that are trying to bring a program forward. You're trying to legitimately change what Georgia Tech football is. Obviously going from triple option to running a lot more different offensive concepts. Now, a lot of it is that energy and that on and off the field energy. And I think that's something I totally respect about what you're doing there at Georgia Tech. Moving forward a little bit, I'd be interested to hear on the recruiting side, what are some unique techniques that you're using on the recruiting side? You already have 3 4-star commits for the 2022 class and a top 5 class in the ACC in 2020. Where are you getting unique, or what are some of your unique techniques, obviously competing in what is an uber competitive ACC with Clemson and these other guys?
Sure. So you've already alluded to the fact that we're in Atlanta, we're in the 404, and we're proud to represent it at one of the top 4 academic schools in the country. So those things are immediate. Those aren't going to change. Everybody knows those things. One of the biggest strengths that I've been blessed with is the staff that I've been able to put together. The men that I've known for a long time from different eras and different parts of my coaching lineage from where I've been able to bring them here, and just the way they vibe, the energy, the belief system that they have in what we're building here. Recruits come because we're right in the heart of Atlanta. So wherever you go in the Southeast, East, West, North, South, whatever, you're going to converge at some time through Atlanta. And we get bus tours, or we get guys come through all the time, and it's the vibe, right? Outkast said, it's the vibe, y'all. And that's what happens when you walk into our building. Our facilities are really nice. The campus is really nice. Being in downtown Atlanta is awesome, but it is the people every single day in our program. Then they get around our players and just the vibe that's around our program with our guys. They see our guys work. They get to hang around them. They see us vibing with the players. They see the players vibing together and the coaches vibing together. You can't fake that, regardless of what facility, where city, what academic ranking it is. If the vibe in the locker room, if the vibe in the building is not what you're looking for, then you're not going to be attracted to it. I think the last 2 years we've had two of the youngest rosters in college football. Bleacher Report re-ranked our freshman class from last year as one of the top 10 in America, and they're great players. And we're building something special here, but it's the energy that we play with. It's the relationship that we have, player to player, coach to coach, coach to player, that makes this place a difference maker and has us poised to be one of the elite programs in college football like Georgia Tech should be.
I've heard so many good things about, like you said, the energy, the vibe of Atlanta. I have a lot of friends who are from Atlanta or have been to Atlanta. Can you sell me on the food in Atlanta, though? I've heard the food there in Atlanta is also very good. I'm a big food guy. Cincinnati, sure. I'm here in Cincinnati. That's where PFF is based. The food in Cincinnati is horrendous. Talk to me about the food there in Atlanta.
Let me give a shout out to Skyline Chili. I don't know if that's going to be my first spot if I come visit you or I come to those studios. We're going there, right? Immediately.
Gotcha.
But I think it starts right here with the Waffle House, founded by a Georgia Tech grad. The CEO is a Georgia Tech grad. So if you come down and you visit Atlanta, please go stop there first. But the restaurants, the food scene, anything and everything. Like I hop on Uber Eats every day, lunch and dinner. My wife and I don't cook. So just the options just on Uber Eats is astounding. And then you want to go out for a big time meal or something nice and sit down, whatever. It's got all of it. So come on down, man.
I'm coming. I'm on my way. You had me at Waffle House. I'm a big Waffle House guy, especially, we're depending on what you get there. The peanut butter waffles, I'm all about it. Let's get back to football here, getting away from the food. I want to talk more about, the pivot away from the triple option there. I got some stats here. 2 years before you went to, got there at Georgia Tech, they were literally they took 0% snaps out of 11 personnel and 0.3% snaps out of the gun. Those figures now, since you've taken over, are 88% of the snaps out of the gun and 70% 11 personnel. A complete philosophical change, in addition to the obviously increased pass rate. I think you guys passed roughly 51% of the time this past season. I think that has to be one of the crazier things to have come into Georgia Tech and made those changes. What have been some of the pain points, and how are you going to continue to take this offense forward and move this philosophical change forward?
Well, I think, first of all, much respect to Coach Johnson and his staff and what they've done. Think the world of him and what they've been able to do throughout his career. So that's first and foremost. But just talk about our offense when we were at Temple. I think two of the best 3 years at passing offenses were while we were there. So we're doing that everywhere. Dave Patnode has been, our offensive coordinator, has been record-setting wherever he's been. And we're just methodically getting this place to where it should be relative to college football and playing elite offense. We're here this weekend and we showed tape of what our game was our last year at Temple. Thursday night, ESPN, Temple versus UCF. I think we had 690 yards of offense. So that's the capabilities that we're building to. We made a philosophical choice when we got here. We were not going to take shortcuts. We were going to build this thing the right way. You alluded to the fact that there weren't any tight ends on the roster when we got here. So we wanted to build it the right way and incrementally put talent at that position and utilize that talent as well. And we've done that. Our offensive line, we've gotten to where we're 6'7" at left tackle. We're 6'6", 341 at right tackle. True freshman started for us last year. We're big in the interior. So we're just a longer, bigger football team and just excited about the direction that we're going. And our strength coach, even though we're bringing in tremendous talent and skill and length across the board, our head strength coach, Lou Caralla, does an absolutely amazing job with the development of our guys, the before pictures, the after pictures, culturally how they're aligned with us. We're building something special, man.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been an absolute injection of talent over the past few years. Like I said, a top 5 recruiting class in 2020, already 3 4-star commits for 2022. A lot of exciting stuff at Georgia Tech football. And I'm glad you brought up the strength and conditioning coach. He's a guy who had some motivational techniques as well, man. He's clearing waves. He had me ready to run through a freaking brick wall with the win speech he had the other day. You got some really impressive people there at Georgia Tech. And
you're like this. I've been running around calling him Million Views Lou. Whenever recruits come in, I'm like, hey, you're going to meet with Million Views Lou. Enjoy it. It is an experience. And he is like that all day, every day. National Street Coach of the Year 3 years ago. He and I worked together at Mississippi State and just think the absolute world of him. He does a tremendous job with our guys.
Million Views Lou. That is sensational. So I spoke a little bit to the injection of talent. I know you've had a lot of transfers specifically this past offseason. Kyrick McGowan, Devin Cochran, 2 transfers on the offensive side of the ball. What are your expectations for those 2 names and also some of the other transfers that you've had specifically on the offensive side of the ball? And then we'll get to Allende Ele. I think I'm pronouncing that name right, but another grad transfer, former 4-star. He is a monster. We'll get to him after that. But on the offensive side of the ball, who are some of those big names that you did have transfer over?
Yeah, so, and again, I alluded to the fact that we wanted to build this thing the right way. The first 2 years, we wanted to build it all with high school talent as much as possible. And we did that this past in January. I think we had 13 new guys arrive on campus at the midyear, which was huge. 4 offensive linemen got here in January, all of them 6'5" plus. And just the injection of talent, knowing the key spots that we really could elevate. I think there's only 3 that were 1-year guys. The rest of the transfers have multiple years. And the cool thing is now that they see the vibe, they see the culture on social media, they talk to the players on the team, what this place is really about, what this coaching staff really is like, what the locker room is like. We've become a destination place. And I think in this day and age of social media, having a place like Atlanta that embraces that it's such an elite academic institution, and they see how hard we work, how well they're developed, and that we actually enjoy being around each other, playing the game, and have a mindset to compete at everything. It makes us a very attractive landing spot for high school guys and other guys that, want to return back home after maybe going to another place and seeing what we're building here. It's pretty cool.
So talk to me about expectations you have for Allende Ele. I know it's a guy you're super excited about on the defensive side of the ball. I think he's projected to start there at linebacker. I'm interested to know your expectations for him and just how exciting he's been this offseason already.
Well, regardless of being just an absolute great player and tremendous athlete, you look at him, he and I were just hanging out down in the locker room about an hour ago. 6'4", 241, can run, can hit, can make plays, but it's who he is as a human being. He got here in January, 4 months until we played our spring game. We had the team vote on the captains for the spring game, and Ace was one of the 4. So we had Ace, we had Wanye Thomas, our All-American safety, Ryan Johnson, our offensive lineman, who was a captain last year as well, and Jeff Sims, true freshman quarterback that started every game for us. Those were the 4 captains for the spring game. So just the level of respect at Ace's game, how he works every single day. He's uber talented, but how he affects the locker room, affects his teammates, does it the right way, works his butt off. Just so proud that he's a part of this program and decided, to come from the Big Ten to join us here in Atlanta.
Where I'd like to finish, Coach, and I really appreciate the time, is Jeff Sims. Obviously a true freshman quarterback this past year with a ton of high expectations coming into Georgia Tech last year and really playing all those games and a lot of growing pains and a lot of opportunity to improve in those games. Where is the biggest opportunity for Jeff Sims to improve this offseason as he prepares for this year? And again, speak to the expectations you do have for Sims, a captain, a starter, now a true sophomore there at Georgia Tech.
So one of the biggest pieces that is such a huge piece for Jeff. He's ridiculously talented too. He's 6'4", he's 220. He hit 22 miles an hour in the spring game.
My goodness.
Catapults. He hit 22 miles an hour. He pulled his own read, ran it for 50 in the spring game. So he's ridiculously talented, but he's an unbelievable young man. He is a hard worker. He's a selfless teammate. He's very humble and very coachable. I mean, Dave Patnode's office is right down the hallway from me. So whenever I walk through the building, I usually go past Dave's office. 9 times out of 10, Geoff is sitting there watching tape, watching things that he needs to get better at, very critical of his own mistakes, wants to get better, wants to positively affect his teammates. And I think he went 9 for 10 in the spring game. So he knows where to go with the ball. He knows the offense. He knows rotations of defense and coverage and knows what to do with what he has. Last year as a true freshman, it was going 1,000 miles an hour. Blitzes coming from everywhere. But now the game has settled down. Mm-hmm. He sees rotation. He sees the fronts. He knows where to go with the football. He knows where to take the protections. He knows where to take the run game. And he's an unbelievable dude in our program, in our locker room.
Really, really awesome stuff. I really appreciate the time. I'm excited for year 3 of the Geoff Collins era there at Georgia Tech. I'm excited for what you're doing on and off the field there in Atlanta for the 404. Like I said, Coach, really appreciate the time.
Appreciate it, Austin, man. Come see us.
Absolutely. I'll be there at the Waffle House. I'll meet you at the Waffle House. That's where we'll start, and then we'll get to the stadium after that.
Oh, man.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I really appreciate it, man. All of these coaches, Mike, that I've been talking to, and I even mentioned it on the interview, but I'm going to reiterate it to you. The energy that you have to be a successful program turning head coach in college football is just absurd. And the emphasis you have to place on off the field improvement, I think it's been such a consistent theme in talking to Tom Allen, PJ Fleck, Jed Fish, Herm Edwards, Geoff Collins, all these guys that are objectively trying to turn programs around. Like, these people, these coaches are coming in to try and make them better within their conference. Arizona is projected 2.5 wins this upcoming season. And Jed Fish just took over last year. Geoff Collins is trying to make Georgia Tech no longer a triple option team. When he first got there was no tight ends on the roster. Like, he's trying to completely change what they do there. Like, and the energy and the commitment to getting buy-in from kids, 18 to 22-year-olds, so much goes into it. So much more goes into it than coaching at the NFL level. And I almost think that it's a completely different game. It's a completely different game from a coaching standpoint from college to the NFL. And I think that's another reason why, I think it's very difficult for college head coaches to make that transition to the NFL because your responsibilities, your expectations completely change. And how you have to carry yourself and all those things completely change.
Yeah, I mean, college, not to say scheme doesn't matter, but for the head coach, Ed Orgeron is not involved with play calling schematics. He is a glorified motivational speaker.
Most of these guys are.
That's the role, though. It's because that's recruiting. It's can you connect with kids and sell them basically. Like, you're more akin to a salesman than you are a lot of other professions.
Which you're saying that not to be condescending or undermining, but that is the biggest contribution.
What's wrong with the sales? It's a skill. It's difficult to do. Not everyone can fucking do that.
Yeah. The biggest contribution any coach can make to its program is recruiting the best talent. Yeah. If you can have a coach come in like PJ Fleck did. PJ Fleck came into Western Michigan, rescinded all the scholarship invites before his era, and then went on to have, I think, 3 or 4 consecutive best recruiting classes in his conference. That's how you contribute as a head coach. Yeah. If you can do that and come in, and Georgia Tech in 2020 had a top 5 recruiting class in the ACC. Not easy to do. In 2022, they already have 3 4-star recruits, which is up there, top 3 among ACC programs. That is difficult to do, especially with, and we didn't get into this a ton, but you have to factor in the academic expectations for Georgia Tech. That is a different problem to deal with compared to other ACC schools. There is a heightened expectation.
Well, honorary ACC school Notre Dame has to deal with that too, but yeah, I get it.
Well, come on. Notre Dame, let's not bring up Notre Dame.
2020 ACC regular season winner Notre Dame had to deal with that too.
Ridiculous. All right, well, that's going to do it for the 2 for 1 Drafts podcast this episode. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. We'll be back next week. We're going to record this episode right now, but we'll be back next week talking about Mike's articles. He wrote the best and worst first-round picks since 2006 at every slot, 1 through 32 picks. Make sure to tune into that episode next week. Until next time, producer Mike Quinn, producer Max, producer Dave, Austin Gayle, Mike Renner, 2 for 1 Drafts.